In this video, we're going to be building this Stranger Things dashboard to celebrate Season 5. I cannot wait. Let's go. Thank you for joining for another video. Before we begin, just quick announcement, Jellyman Education is live. It is ready to go for 2026. If you click here on all courses, all the links will be in the description below. You're going to see all the courses are there. If you want to learn Tableau, you're a beginner, getting started. There's Tableau Cloud, Tableau Prep, Data Analyst Essentials, there's SQL, there's ChatGPT, there's building a portfolio. If you're applying for jobs, there's a full detailed job guide. Everything and anything you need to become an amazing data analyst, it's all there. All right, let's get back to the video. So here we are with the dashboard, and it's very simple in that there's only one bar chart. It's really simple, but I want you to understand when it comes to Tableau, it's not always about making it more complicated, lots of visualizations. The key is that everything kind of feng shuis together. It all fits together. So your theme, your styling, the fact that you can read it, the placement, all of that kind of comes together. So I'm going to walk you through kind of my thought process as I build this, but let's begin. So you want to start by downloading the dataset. It's in the description. And once you have that, we can begin. All right, once you've downloaded the files, you have these two. So you'll have the Excel file, and then you'll have the actual image. Now, I generated this image using Midjourney. So let me open it up. Whenever I use an image, like I have to generate a number of them, and the thinking is always, if the focus of the image is in a certain spot, where do the visualizations go? So if her face was here in the middle, right? Let me pick a different color. Let's go blue, right? Let's say her face was here in the middle, then it really only gives me the spacing here to do visualization. And it's just a choice. Is that what I want? Or if her face is here, then it gives me this one. Also the ratio. So do I want it that a third of her face is here? And then I've got more space here for visualizations, or it's the reverse. So it just really depends on how much do you want to display, and then how much of the background is going to be positioned in a certain way. Because the problem is, if you put a visualization over her face, then you kind of ruin the image. Because if you look at movie posters and all that, and the way it's spaced, let me just bring the dashboard back out again. Okay, get our drawing tool. The focus is her face. You see her face, you're like, whoa, and then you see all the kind of secondary information. So that's kind of the thinking behind the visualization. All right, now let's get on with the viz. So you want to take this file, and we're simply going to drop it into Tableau. Let me change back to red here. Okay, so click, drag and drop, and we are ready to go. Okay, so the data set is really just some really basic stats around Netflix, estimated budget. I just got this from ChatGPT, really, to make it for me. It's so much easier these days now with ChatGPT. So we're going to click on sheet 1, and we are ready to go. So whenever you build a bar chart like we had before, it's multiple bars. So the way to go about it is you want to start off with the first bar and build from there. A lot of people get confused with this. So say I've got awards 1. I'm going to bring that into columns, right? Like so. And then we want to split it vertically. And we're going to be using release year. Okay, so if I grab release year and drop it in here, okay, you're going to see it, and it's going to restructure itself in a certain way. And that is because whenever you see that this is green, you probably see it's green there. These are all green. They are continuous data types, meaning when you bring them in, and continuous is always ever a measure, a number. Whenever you bring it in and it's green, it's going to create an axis, which we actually don't want. We want discrete years. So the way to fix that is we go release here, and here you can't actually change it. Hang on one second. I made a mistake. It's supposed to be here and discrete. So I was looking for something else. So you can go here and set it to discrete, and it will do that. Or you can do it this way. Right click release here and convert to discrete. And what that does is it permanently converts it to discrete. You can see now it's blue, so that every time you use it, it will already be discrete. Okay, so it just depends on how you want to use it day to day. So release here, if I now bring this in just normally, it's already like this. So it's a really good trick if you're constantly having to use that year and you always have to switch it to discrete. So just change it by the default. All right, so that is the first part. So how do you now add the multiple years? Well, the multiple measures. Well, there's kind of two ways to do it. One is if you get the next one, which is estimated budget, I'm going to grab it and bring it here. And then take the next one here, 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 and so on. That's first method. The other one is using measured values, which is a good thing to practice. So we'll do both. So if I bring in estimated year here, now I've got that second one. Okay. The advantage of doing it this way is that every single bar that you add is going to be represented by its own marks card, which means we individually we can customize them. That's the advantage. So for example, this first one refers to this. This second one refers to this. So now if I wanted, let's say the first one skinnier, I could do that. Okay, so you can format them independently depending on your use. However, sometimes we have so many bars that we want to format exactly the same, and it's just cumbersome to have to format them individually. So the alternative is, and let me just show you kind of quickly what it looks like as you add them, right? So that's what it looks like. So the alternative is to do it like this. If we get rid of these, okay, I'll get rid of that one as well. Let's bring in the first one, awards 1. Oh, and it's remember the formatting. We'll put it back. Yeah, something like that. To bring the next one in, let's say estimated budget, instead of dropping it in here, we're going to drop it over the axes. Okay, I'll do it slowly. And as soon as you do that, you see these kind of like black lines, right? And then you can see it's actually 2 rulers. It's not one ruler. It's not side by side ruler. It's 2 rulers on top of one another. Okay. And what that's done is it's created a bucket, a measure value bucket, right? And what happens is now you have one marks card for the whole thing. So that's what happens when you get the double ruler. If I go back, this is what happens when you do the single. Okay, that replaces it. And then the other one is estimated. So if I go here to the left, you're going to see 2 rulers side by side. And that's going to put them side by side like that, right? So what we really want is that measure value bucket. Okay, so go back. I'm going to go estimated budget in awards 1. Right, now don't worry about it not looking exactly how we wanted it before. The next one is global viewers. And now we can just add it here to the measure values. Okay. Hours viewed and rotten tomatoes. Okay, there we go. Now the structure isn't quite what we wanted, right? We want it going this way, but that's actually easy because they're all together now. So all we have to play with is this measure value, measure names. Okay, measure values refers to these numbers. Measure names refers to the labels. So all we do is we're switching these two around. So I'm going to move measure names to the top. So now we've got the names at the top, and the measure values can actually stay where it is, right? Because it's a bar chart. It's so much easier when you have them in buckets if they're all going to be formatted the same. Now each one's going to have its own color, and it's as simple as bringing measure names into color. So if I do that, and now they're all colored. So you can see the bucket is just so much easier. And if you want labels for everything, we can use measure values and drop that into label. Okay. And now everything has a label. It's really that simple. Okay. Now I'm not going to format this yet. What I tend to do is when I'm building a dashboard, I'll format it after I get it onto the dashboard to kind of see how the ratios and the styling fit together. So now we're going to create a dashboard. Okay, now it's going to come together really quick. Let me just get the ratio. So the ratio we're looking for is 1920 by 1080, which is sort of like your standard 1080p ratio. And we're going to bring an image in. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go floating. This is just the way I prefer. And I'm going to bring in a image like so. We're going to go choose. And now let's look for that image. So it is this one. Open. I'm going to go center image and OK. All right. Now, those settings of center and the other one really just make sure it fits nicely. Now, the image itself is actually the same ratio as what we've selected here. And this is really important so you don't have these kind of white spaces on the sides. We're going to now modify this image size. So we're going to go layout. We're going to go position will be 0, 0. So in the top corner, so 0, 0. And this makes sure it's really precise. And then here it's just going to be the ratio of your dashboard. So 1920 by 1080. And when you do that, it fits perfectly. Okay, you can see here. It's all the way to the edge. Now we want to bring in all those extra bits of information. You can see here we have sheet 1. And make sure you're in floating mode. I'm going to bring this right here. Okay, now you can see it is not formatted nicely. We have this little legend here, which we'll put kind of down to the bottom. Okay, here we go. And it's probably going to be somewhere there. And what I tend to do is, once I kind of see its placement, I go, all right, does that feel right? And then I'll continue, right? Because the annoying thing is if you format this too soon, same with other visualizations, you bring it into the dashboard, it's not what you want, and you have to reformat it again, okay? So if we're happy with this, we're good. And we also have like a little label here on the bottom. So I'm going to add a text box. I'm just going to drop it anywhere at the moment. And we're going to say 12 days. I've been waiting for this all year. Season 5. And we're going to make it, let's see, 36. And we'll just make it white for the moment, just so we can see it. That's it. And I'm just going to roughly place it here. Somewhere there. All right. Now that we know what it's going to look like, we can change some of these things. So firstly, we want this to take up the entire space. Okay, so making sure you activated it, I'm going to click here on the top. I'm going to click entire view. And that now fills up the whole space. We don't want the background. So I'm going to go format. And here on the paint can and worksheet, we're going to just clear that out. Now, as soon as you do that, things become much harder to see in terms of text. So we're going to go into format and workbook. And when you do that, you can format the entire file itself, which is really helpful. So the format we want is called OCR. Let's look for it. OCRA extended. That one. Okay. The size we want here is 12. Okay, and the rest is good. And we're going to change the color as well to white. Okay, you can see that's so much easier than going into these individually. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, next bit is to actually modify the borders and all that. Now, the thing is with people, they think that to make a visualization better, you need more barriers, right? Borders, lines, to kind of tell people where to look and how big things are. You don't need that. The human brain is designed to make that kind of stuff easier. So what we do to make it cleaner is we actually want to get rid of as much as we can. So title, gone. Okay. Then we're going to just increase this a little bit. There we go. We're going to get rid of all these lines. These lines are just absolutely useless a lot of the time. So I'm going to go format. And then here in lines, this one right here, okay, we're going to get rid of the grid lines. So columns, I'm going to get rid of that. You see those, and right away you can see the bars kind of just jump out at you. Then we're going to go here into the borders, and we're going to be modifying these two. So we're going to turn this one off. Okay, don't need that. And we will get rid of the header part. Okay, and the only reason I like to keep that one is just to kind of give you a little reference point for your eyes. But I want it to be really faint. So here in the column divider pane, we just make it darker. So the thing is with lines, they don't need to be super visible. They almost just can be barely visible, and the brain will register it that it's there, but it won't be distracting. Okay. The other thing is we have data labels already, so we don't need this axis. You can get rid of that as well. So show header. Okay, there you go. And these bars are just simply much too thick. So we have to go into the visualization. And we're going to adjust its thickness. So we're going to go, let's say half. Go back. That's still a little bit thick for me, so like so. Maybe too thin now. Okay. So this is the thing where you have to kind of play with it a little bit. Okay, there you have it. All right, so we're almost there. I'm just going to scroll to the right. I think this label is actually fine. No problem there. The only other thing is, and there's a little bit of a trick, whenever you have white text and you have a dark background, this also comes to how you choose your background of where the dark parts are, where the bright parts are, so that when you choose the styling and color of your text, there's a good contrast. The trick is, because the text is white, we want it to jump out more by making the back black or darker. But this side is dark and this part is kind of red. So the way to get around that is, if I close this and go to layout, here's the trick. Firstly, we don't want text going all the way to the edge. Okay, so we're going to add some inner padding of about 15, like so, and maybe even 20. Okay, there we go. And then we want to add a black background. And let me show you how this works. So black, okay, but now you can't see the background. So we want to reduce the opacity so that you see the background, but we have enough black to create that contrast, right? There you go. So it's a small thing. You can barely see it, okay, but it does make a difference, all right? And we want to do the same thing for this measure names. So we want to go inner padding of 20, okay? And if it does that, we simply just have to tweak things a little bit until they all fit again. There we go. There we go. And that is our dashboard. It is that easy to put it together. So again, hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to check out the Jellyman Education website. Heaps of training there for 2026, specifically for people. And I've been getting a lot of these messages of people trying to get a job for the new year. They don't know how to get a job. There's a full job guide there. There's portfolios that you can submit to employers. It teaches you absolutely everything. So be sure to check that out. Thank you for watching and see you next time.